And good evening, everyone. Dr. Jonathan Shepard here, host of Ask the Doctors broadcast. It's good to be with you again. I am happy that you have joined me live on a Monday evening, and it is time for us to have our show, Ask the Doctors. Ask the Doctors is a public forum where I will deal with various different issues that pertain to mental health and the other issues that surround our mental well being. Our show is sponsored by Hope Health Systems, which is my employer, a large mental health organization located in the state of Maryland. So I want you to come on in the room. Please share, please like, let people know that Ask the Doctors is on right now. I have such a very important topic. It is one that is related again to Black History Month. I say again because a couple of weeks ago we did a series on, or as part of our series, I should say, we talked about the black male in the United States of America. And today we're going to talk about the black female in the United States of America. And there's just been so much that has occurred within our country that relates to black women and what they're facing in this present day time. And so I want you to come on in the room. I want you to get settled in. I want you to know that Hope Health Systems, where I work, is concerned about you. If you are in need of any mental health services, you can go to our website, which is scrolling across the bottom of your screen, and you can fill out a referral if you would. If you're in need of direct care services, we're located here on the west side of Baltimore. That is our headquarters. But if you live in the DMV area and we are able to accommodate you, we will gladly do that. So many people are in need of mental services during this time. And so we don't want anyone to go lacking because of not being able to find someone. And if we can't service you, we'll refer you to someone who can. I literally get I should say, contacted each week by someone about mental health services, whether it be through my website, whether it be through Hope Health Systems. You can look up on my YouTube channel to see the various ways in which you can contact me. But for right now, the best way is through Hope Health Systems, and we will gladly service you. Let's get to our topic at hand. I am excited because I have two wonderful people, two people who I know well, work with them, and they're going to help with laying out this particular subject matter today. Such an important topic, the state of mental health for the Black female in the United States of America. And of course, we have two extraordinary Black females who are here today. I'm going to go ahead and bring them on in. And as I do that, they will introduce themselves to our audience. Come on in, please like and share. Let somebody know Ask the Doctors is on right now. I'm going to start with Andrea Brown. How are
Hello,
you
hello.
doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Excited about this topic tonight. Excited about it's interesting, and I don't know if you meant to do it. I like the strategy about Black History Month, but also right on the cusp of Women's History Month, right? So it's I love that your timing couldn't be more perfect. So I'm doing all right. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm the executive director for the Black Mental Health Alliance, and much more than that. I'm an activist. I am an advocate, and super excited about this conversation today. So thank you for the invite.
Absolutely, absolutely. We work together on a Black Mental Health Alliance, and
Yes.
she's Andrea's actually coming up on her 2 year anniversary. Believe
Yes.
it or not, she started as the pandemic was starting, so we'll never forget her start date.
You got that right. I thought it was a cruel joke, but it's been a wonderful ride. It has been.
Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful. And so glad to have you. I know you're going to add to this discussion. And then another one of my friends who is here. She is an entrepreneur. She is a businesswoman, and she's going to come on and introduce herself. Her name is Misha Maynard. How are you doing?
I am well. I'm doing outstanding, and thank you so much. I'm excited as well about this topic. I'm excited to be able to share and then also to learn just from others, just from those in the audience, and also from yourselves. I am Misha Maynard. I am a businesswoman. I currently am dealing with, I do public and private partnerships, but we're working in the healthcare industry dealing with everything with COVID. So we do everything responding to COVID. So we've been busy over the last 2 years ourselves. But I also have my hands in nonprofit as well. So I'm very interested in hearing the discussion and engaging everyone that is here in the audience. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for those who are coming on in, please go ahead, share and like. You see me looking down, it's because I'm sharing this message with those who I know who need to hear it. So please go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and get started because you're right, Andra. Tomorrow starts Women History Month. And so, yes, it was strategic as to have this particular show in between Black History Month and Women History Month uh, because Black women have been the backbone of this country. We just have to admit it. They have been, and they have continued to be able to showcase their talents in so many different ways. And so I just want to talk a little bit about, we have some questions that we have here, but I just want to dialogue and I want to hear even from my audience as we're talking. But since the pandemic has hit, so much has changed. Our landscape has changed. Our atmosphere, literally, in society as we know it, has changed. But I want you to talk, and we'll start with Andrea, and we'll just flow from there. I want you to just talk about some factors that have positively affected the mental health of Black women during this time. And I'm choosing positive right now because so many people talk about the negative. Let's talk about the positive first, and let's get this train going.
So it's interesting. So it's funny that you that you say that because I was immediately ready for both. But when we start talking about positive, it really has been a moment for women, right? Especially in this space. When we talk about COVID, it has really been a moment for us to be even more creative than we've been in the past, to elevate and heighten our skills and our senses. And what's interesting is we've been able to do it. Our children are home, at least they were, whether we're taking care of elderly parents or not. And so, really, sort of juggling this space. So, we've been able to do some things that traditionally we would not have been able to do, work remotely for those of us who've been able to. But I say again, it really has really given us an opportunity to really hone in on our creative senses. And I think that is and that's been long overdue. Oftentimes when we have the 9 to 5, and doesn't mean we still don't have that, but we've not been able to do those kinds of things. And so, in that regard, and even in some small regard, we have looked at self-care a little bit differently because we are home, because there is so much. We're juggling so many glass balls. And so, sort of taking this mantra about how do I care for myself in this space where things are different, where things are changing. And I think I can't wait to hear from Misha. But I think one of the other things that has given us the opportunity to almost dream again about what could be possible in a space once we move from here. And oftentimes we're moving, we don't get to dream. So I think it's forced us to dream again.
Okay. All right. That's good. Misha, are you dreaming again?
Well, yes, I am. I'm dreaming. But one of the things I think that Andrea was saying is we had a boom in women-owned businesses. We were already on the uprise, but I mean, we had a big burst. And I think because as women, we are nurturers, we're incubators. And so during this pandemic, being at home, we had to be creative and find out ways in order, one, to balance our family's life. And from that, many women started new businesses from home and found out that they could be effective by being at home. And then those who may have just had maybe some little hobbies on the side, or a small business on the side that wasn't generating, were able to increase revenue streams because they were making themselves available to industries and corporations and organizations, and we became more valuable. Even though we knew we became more valuable to society as a whole. So when you look across the landscape, you find that women started showing up and showing out and become more recognized in different industries. And so one of the areas I saw a great increase in just personally was IT. More women came to the forefront in IT and social media and things like that. And so I think that was, to me, is very exciting and needs to be recognized. That not just was when we talk about, like you said, the negative, there's some positive things that really came out of this pandemic. For myself personally, my business increased, the revenue streams increased. I mean, tremendously. I don't really want to go to figures, but just tremendously. And but which allowed me to do more for my passions. More in the community. I'm the community advocate as well. So I wanted to make sure that my people were taken care of. And so I was able to do more with the resources. And so I think that's very important to note.
Misha, it's funny, as I was listening to you talk about, revenue streams, I think also, and you alluded to this, we really have been able in this moment to expand our territory, right? And so one of the things that there are days that I can't stand Zoom, but what it has done is we're not limited to the DMV. We're not limited to, we're everywhere now. And so just as I think about women who have started their own businesses or who have been able to concentrate on their businesses, now they don't have to just do it in a region, right? You can take territory. You want to go global, go. It's easier now. And especially with sisters, women at the helm in terms of IT and, and we could go on, but I just, as you were talking, it just reminded me about how this moment has helped us really expand our territory. And we're not limited to the South or the East. We can do whatever.
Can I add to that too? Because you just said something that brought to, because a lot of times, especially Black women, we were intimidated in boardrooms and intimidated in male-dominated meetings and intimidated when you're sitting with someone in that group that doesn't look like you. But with Zoom and StreamYard and things like that we've been able to be in the comfort of our own home and really kind of let our hair down and let that creativity, that authentic self come to the forefront. And so all of our treasures and our values and everything that we have, our talent and skills just really came to the forefront. And we've been knocking it out the park because, you're not in the same room and you're able to express yourself and you don't have to worry about the body language and should you say and what should you say. More people have gotten relaxed and things like that. So I just think it has played to the favor of those who have been able to capitalize, and I use that term loosely, capitalize on that place that we've been in with the pandemic. I'm done, Dr. Desheb. You have your show.
No, this is this is good. This is why you all were invited, because the flow is wonderful. But let me tell you, with all that has been said, and I love this, and I love the way in which we started, because too many times we hear people just focus on the negative. But I love this whole expansion of territory. That hit me. That really did hit me. And when you said that, as your territory expands, you have to be able to keep up with the territory. If you got an apartment, you might be able to just have enough staff to keep the apartment clean. But when you get the house, you have to hire more personnel. You got to have a greater workforce. And so let's talk about that, because as you are expanding your territory, what are the things that you're having to give up? What are the trade-offs? That's the word that comes with the expansion.
You tell me. You know we're gonna go together. You ready, Misha? Or you want to go first?
I have to say this just from personal. There are some things you give up, but I didn't give up anything. So I need to say that. And let me tell you why. Because I put a model in place. My model allows for me to still focus on the things that are so important to me. Ministry and service in the community are very important to me. So I put a model together when I started off. And what I did was I pulled teams together and I have people in position that can run while I'm there or not there. So I come in and I started off. I set it up myself because I want to make sure that it runs well, that it has my flavor on it. I'm in it. It needs to look like me. Okay. And then I put those people in place. And so even today, I have sites I have 4 clinics that I run, but I can be in Nashville. I can be in San Juan. I could be anywhere I need to be. And those 4 clinics are running, and they're running almost, the same in every clinic, providing the services that my clients have asked for me to provide, because I refuse to give up ministering and I refuse to give up community advocacy. I refuse to, because that's where my heart is. And so I when you say hiring, I could have kept all the money to myself, but it's not worth it. I'm going to bring people in, run it, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm focused on those things that I'm passionate about. So I didn't give up anything. I'm just saying.
So it's interesting. So wow. It's funny, as I was listening to you, I just wonder. You said two things that just warmed my heart, but also I get why some people had to give up some things or did, and partly because there was no template in place for them. You put a system in place, and quite frankly, that would be invaluable to other women, right? I mean, and it may sound like a small thing, but it really isn't, because as folk are growing, they don't know what the priorities are, and that's because sometimes it takes off quicker than you, right? And so, oftentimes the things that we pray for and hope for are here, but we've still not prepared ourselves in a way so that when they take off, we know what to do. So, but for people who didn't, right? For people who didn't have systems in place and weren't sure about the priorities, and they just, I mean, their things took off. For them, it has almost been exhausting, because now they're trying to play catch up. I think Dr. Shepherd said it best. There were no teams in place, because some of it is like, do I keep the money? Do I pay? Do I whatever? But the lack of sort of coaching around what to do when you get to this place can be a detriment, because then that's when anxiety sets in. That's when you sort of take your eye off things. And so for you, because you had the wisdom to be able to put the model in place, but for those who haven't, it has cost them.
Yeah. So it was just me. So let me just make sure I say that it was just me until June 2020. So I was my only employee.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I knew that there were some things that I wanted. And so again, like I said, I wasn't willing to sacrifice or give up what was so important to me. And that's ministry and community advocacy. It just was so important to me that I was willing to give, if it was my salary, to someone else to make sure things ran, and that I provided the service to my clients. And I will say this, and I appreciate what you said. So to anyone who is listening, I think you do have to weigh it. You've got to step aside and you've got to weigh, what are you willing to give up? And so many times we sacrifice family, we sacrifice our what we believe in, what we consider to be valuable. We sacrifice those things because we really feel like they're going to always be there. They're always going to be connected to us, and so, but I wasn't willing to do that. Family is vitally important to me, and I'm not going to give up my family, not going to give up, I'd rather give you money and I tell people this all the time, relationships to me are more valuable than money. So
But you say it best. I mean, again, even though you started with just you, as it started to grow and as you started to expand, right? You knew enough to be able to say, I've got to put some systems in place. And what I want to say to you and for us, as I said out loud, that is gold for people in this space who have a moment, want to seize their moment, but just don't know as things grow what to do. And so I think that, I feel like there's something coming on that people can benefit. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put it in the atmosphere. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So let me say this. So let me interject this, because people need to understand that when you put systems in place, you have to have the right mindset. So if you go back and look at the definition of what mental health is, which I want you all to really tackle this, because I hear what you all are saying, and I believe people are hearing you. But I also understand that there's somebody out there right now and say, I want to do what you're saying, Misha. I want to do what you're talking about, Andrea, but I can't because my mind's not right. And when you think about mental health, and again, I hope no one takes offense to that, but I understand where we're at. We're bogged down. I talk about the 3 A's all the time. We're anxious, we're angry, and we're apathetic. And it will affect your mental health. Your mental health is defined by 4 tenets. PCWC, as people know, that's my mantra: potential, cope, work, and contribution. And so you've been talking about that in various, loosely, if I could, loosely coupled to that. But I want you to address that, because there are a lot of people who have potential, and they may not recognize it, but they know they got it, but they can't tap into it because their mental health ain't together. And that's a large part of what mental health is. So I want you to speak to that, because I really do believe that as a whole, our society has taken a hit. It really has. There's some people who've risen to the top. That's true. But overall, I mean, we've encountered some real tough blows. And the Black people have been really at the forefront of those blows. So I want you to speak to some of those Black women. Tell a little bit about some of your ups and downs that you may have even experienced during the pandemic, or ups and downs as you were putting forth your business. Let's go there.
Go ahead, jump in.
Okay. No, I probably won't even. So a couple of things. Dr. Shepherd talked about, about the mindset, right? And it really is. We've got to message differently, right? I mean, and we've got to teach ourselves some of that. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. You were talking about ministry, and I often think about, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? You said that. And but we've got to tell ourselves, we've got to find a counter narrative. But even that it's easier to say, oh, just talk yourself out of it. It's much, much easier, but to say than to do. But I think we have to start there and say, I know this is what I see. I know this is what I know, but seeking help isn't a dirty word, right? It's not dirty language. How do I reduce? Our silence won't protect us, right? So I've got to be able to talk through where I am and what I'm doing. And then here's the other thing. I think, for Black women, that I think has been both helpful and probably in some instances detrimental, having the conversation in a safe way, right? And finding the right who to have the conversation with. Because if you get the right who to have the conversation with, whether that's some of your homegirls, whether that's, part of your think tank, if you have the right conversations, then you really get to explore what this whole mental health piece means, right? And how it's okay we got to figure out how to reduce the stigma. But if you talk to the wrong who, then it's a vicious cycle, right? You don't get out for a long time, and you don't even realize how bad you are. So I think I want to start there, because I know you got something to say, and I can't wait I just can't wait. Go ahead, Dad.
And Misha, no, I do want you to pick up, but I also want you to look at Mark Reed's question that he put in here too. So it's a very important question, and I believe you're going to address it, but I just want to showcase it. how does the Black woman arrive at a mental well-being or a state of well-being to approach where you spoke of before you move forward? So hopefully you
Mm.
got the essence of his question. And so he said it a little bit better than I did. So go ahead.
So for me, and it did take a moment. So it was a journey. It didn't happen overnight. I have not always been here. So please understand, I have not always been here. It took a moment. But the first thing is I had to deal with me.
Mhm.
And I had to be truthful and honest with me. I
Mhm.
didn't like where I was mentally. I didn't like the decisions that I made. And I think I've said this before, that your decisions testify of your priorities. So every time you decide to do something, you're telling yourself and everyone else what is important
Mm.
to you. This is my priority. If I take my rent money to go buy clothes to impress someone else, I'm telling myself and everyone else that you are more important than my well-being, than me being safe at home, than making sure my bills are paid and things like that. So every decision I make testifies of my priority. That's the first thing. So I had to deal with Misha. What's going on with me? Then this is something that I've been talking about in our 7 a.m. that we do on Sunday mornings, and that is repositioning people. So as I assess my tribe, which is what you talked about, having that the support group, that, or your group of confidants that you bounce things
Mhm.
about around with, accountability partners, sometimes you need to reposition people in your life. People are not talking your same language. People are not supportive. People who are not for you. If they're not for you, and some people say they're against you. Well, if they're not helping you, to me, they're against you, because everybody needs to be pushing you towards the same direction. We need to all be going in the same direction. And even a stagnant person, somebody who's standing still, is not good for me. That's just me, because we need to be moving. If I'm moving, we need to be moving. So you got to look at your tribe. So assess yourself first, then assess that tribe, that support group. Assess them. And if they're not moving in the direction you're moving, they're not helping with your mental health, then it's okay. You have permission to reposition them. Doesn't mean that you put them out your life, but you need to give them another assignment in your life. It can't be your best bud. They can't be the person you talk to every day. If they negative in their conversation, they need to, you just move them out. Maybe you don't talk to them every day. Maybe you check in with them once a quarter. And it's okay. You have permission to do that, because at the end of the day, you are most important. You are the most important person in everything, because I come to this conclusion: if in ministry, community service, and business, if God assigned it to me, it's for me to push it. And if I'm unhealthy, if I'm not able to, then I'm not able to fulfill my assignment in this earth. Period. And so I'm not going to let you stop me from doing that. And I know, come on, Auntie, because she can hit me. Go ahead.
You said it. You said it much more eloquently, all of that. And I think sometimes we've got to be brave enough to release people to their greater good. Here's the challenge, right? Here's what I see. I often see, like, I love that, have somebody that you can be accountable to. But when the tribe I'm with is saying and doing the same thing, then I don't even know I'm stuck. And so it is important for us to have somebody, right, who doesn't have a dog in this fight, to be able to say, help, show me, what do you see in me? Because it's one thing to assess ourselves, right? It's that's painful. It can be difficult, because that means we gotta look at ourselves. Remember, we don't want to be in pain. That's the other thing. And then sometimes we don't even know the truth. That's the hard part. And so, but if we get somebody, right, to say, you know what, coach me on this, then I know that I'm gonna have to move out of that tribe. So I love this whole notion around repositioning. But that takes honesty. It takes a real assessment that's painful. And it takes work. And you said, look, this is a journey. I didn't just get here. I had to look at me. There's Maya Angelou has had this quote that I absolutely love, and I'm gonna mess it up a little bit, but the gist of it is, is she says, take a day to heal from the lies that you've told yourself, right? That's one. She said, and then take a day to heal from the lies that you've told, that have been told to you. And so, and I often think about that we do that. And I'm like, yeah, and take somebody with an unbiased opinion. So, that's either the lie or the truth, right? So all of this you're right. It all takes work. So I love, 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 this whole notion around priorities. But I think we've got for some of us who get that part, we've got to teach that to others. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the pandemic, that's a lot of that we had the opportunity to do. And I think that's the reason why I hit it hard, because many of us were at home with ourselves.
Yes.
So you could be at the office where you were blaming everybody else, why you didn't make it, why you didn't get the promotion, why
That's right.
why this didn't work out. Now you're at home with you. It's been you and on Zoom, and when you were dragging out of bed, that to me, you're like a turtle. You carry your house everywhere you go. You was acting like this at your former job, and you acting like this at home. So it's not. It's me. I
love it. I love
didn't change because I was at home. My work ethics is the same. Either you're on Zoom or not. You're at home or not.
I got you. I got it.
Okay. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you.
Lord
Don't
Jesus.
be done. Don't be done. You're not done.
She said you act like a turtle because you carry your house around everywhere you go. Lord,
I love it.
I heard it. Oh, Bishop. Okay. All right. Somebody just say ouch out there.
I know that's right.
Ouch.
I'm not carrying my home with me anymore. Let's just make a small pivot, because I really I'm building I'm going somewhere, you all. So please stay tuned. I'm just resetting the house, and thank you for all those who are watching. I can see some of you all as I'm looking at my phone who's watching. Thank you so much. And I must say, Mark Reed is someone who's known me from when I was, oh Lord, I won't say how old, but we go way back, age 4, 5, 6, something like that. So that's how far we go back. So thank you, my brother, for sharing that question. Very important. I want to. I'm just swerving just a little bit, not changing gears, but we're talking about the state of mental health of the Black female in the United States, and it's one of the things that has been lifted up over the last 2 years, seeing that we now have our first Black female vice president in such a role in Kamala Harris, and now we just had a Black female nominated to the Supreme Court. Ketanji Brown. I always mess up her first name. Ketanji Brown. Yeah. And so this is quite an achievement, quite an accomplishment for us. I want you to speak to this, and not just speak to it in the fact that we're proud and honored that she was nominated, but I want you to utilize that as a backdrop to speak again to the state of mental health of the Black woman in this country. How does this uplift? Does this uplift? Does it put now a spotlight on them that we're not ready to uphold? Because we put a spotlight, yeah, you're the center of attention, but you can see some flaws. So again, help me in balancing that out. Help our audience in doing such.
Andre's gonna have to jump on that one first.
So let me say this. So it's interesting. So we would be remiss if we didn't say we were proud, right? Mm-hmm. And we all have to own that, right? Because so we're gonna say that. Here's what I will say though. The last few weeks we've seen tons and tons of articles on high functioning Black women and depression, right? Mm. And when I tell you, it's been article upon article about, how do we talk about it? Do we recognize it? Blah, blah, blah. And so I think it is great to be in this space. It is great to, but I remember vividly, I was in a different position, but I remember vividly the sort of hell Loretta Lynch went through with that process, right? and how you could see from start to finish how it just weighed on her. She had, goo gobs of support from Black women, every sorority around, including her own. I mean, just kind of, but I saw the weight of that. And we have moved since then to now. And so now that there's this whole notion around, depression in high functioning Black women. And so, it's one thing to be able to say, oh my gosh, I aspire to be, but it's also this, how do I balance that, right? What does that look like? And what should I be doing as a Black woman? What should we be doing as a friend, as a sister, as a, maybe even looking from the cheap seats? How do we help her and others like her and us, balance that space, whatever that looks like, and acknowledge the need for, acknowledge the need for not just balance, but to be able to take care of herself. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes we get in these spaces and we lose our voice, right? And so how do we, and I don't know it all, but I think we've got to figure out how to almost, I want to be careful how I say it, but almost sound the alarm on this sort of mask for high functioning women in depression. And I don't know that answered your question, but again, that's all we keep seeing. And I remember vividly, I was in a different position, and as a community activist, I saw what that brutal confirmation did to her. And so, how do we help prepare her for that and other women? Because you talk about, we saw a surge of women in IT, but there's also this surge of women running for office, right? Being in that space. So how do we prep them for that? And I don't know. I don't know what that, and how do we help them stay balanced in that, especially as we talk about their mental health and well-being.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about it from that take. Come on, Misha. How do we do it?
Now, and I'm not going to answer how we do it because
Okay.
my reply to this question probably is a little bit different. It's 2022, and we have a Black woman who's going to be on the Supreme Court. We're called upon as Black women to carry politics now. We put so many people in office, mainly men in office. Nothing against men. I love men. I love my Black men. But we put men in office. We're called upon to protest because we lost our sons and our daughters to Black violence. We're called upon to work because the white men are not as afraid of us as they are of Black men. So they put us in positions where we're making money so we can take care of our household while they beat our men down. We got to make sure that we stroke the ego of our Black men, because if we don't, then our Black men think that we're trying to lead them and that we're trying to take over for them. So then we got to take care of that. We got to walk gingerly around them. We go to our Black churches and we can't be in charge there because the Bible says that it has to be a priest, which has to be a man. And so we had to shut up there and be silent because the Bible said women should be quiet in the church. We've got to carry. So for me, when I was just like, great. And I'm celebrating her. Please understand that I'm celebrating her. I'm celebrating Kamala Harris. I'm celebrating any Black person, any Black woman that's getting her due. I'm celebrating. But at the same time, we are exhausted. We have been put in so many positions that we've got to carry the weight. And we have a double whammy against us. We Black and we are a woman. And so we're the double minority, but yet we have to do double the work.
Yeah.
And so when you ask that question, I don't take away celebrating her, but I do want to say I understand the high achieving and the mental anguish that goes along with this. I understand we're always trying to double prove ourselves and trying to make sure that everybody knows that we should be present, that we should be, and we keep giving it, we keep coming, and we keep giving, and we keep coming, and then we're called upon to do the celebration, and we're called upon to cheer everybody on, and we're called upon to cry, and we're called upon to lead, and we're called upon to advocate for them. And I think if we could get just maybe a little bit of help, and I'm not saying that the people are not helping, because you putting this out here is but we need more of you. We need more. We need more of it. And so that's just my
no, Misha. No, that's we to some degree you may come from it from a different way, but we are saying it, right? And here's what I think, and I appreciate you raising about we need more folk like, more men, more women like Dr. Shepherd. But here's the truth. We have got to figure out a way to sound the alarm. Seriously, specifically for the sisters, because of this space that we're in. And so now, so we're judged because we're here, right? You can do it. We've seen you. And I almost can't stand the word resilience. That's my own stuff. Please don't, almost can't. I'm like, don't tell me I'm resilient. Look, but because it's almost like some badge, y'all resilient. Yeah. And the rest of us is falling apart, right? So, so you say it, but I would love for us to figure out a way that we sound the alarm so that as we make these accomplishments, right, as we, shatter this, climb that, do all of those things, that we still understand the sort of the secret stuff that we are carrying that is weighing on our mental health. Because, she still got 2 small kids at home.
Absolutely.
And I mean, she got 2 small kids at home. I don't know about her folks, but, we don't know if she's caretaker and everything else. And so, she's already chief of all these other things, right? And now this. And so, but I think we got to sound the alarm, because what we have done historically is we've pushed it down and kept trucking. So we're on to the next thing, right? We moved and we've not dealt with all of these other things that we needed to deal with. And Dr. Shepherd, I'm going to give this back to you, but I want to raise just one thing. So as I was listening to you talk, I remembered how I felt when Breonna Taylor was killed, right? For weeks, I was angry. I was like, I got to talk to somebody. And I couldn't, I wrestled with, why am I mad? Why am I, and, because she's a Black woman. Well, here's why I was mad. I realized this, but this really meant I had to be able to share what I was feeling. I was mad because that you would have the audacity to break a Black woman's rest when we carry the weight of everybody and our children, our mothers, our fathers, our brothers. You have the nerve to break my rest. I don't get enough sleep. And so, and so I mean, but I say that, just think, I was able to finally articulate it and talk about it. But you think about the women that are not talking about how they felt about that, right? Thinking about if we think about how we don't and we just keep it moving, we not as well as we need to be, right? We're not as well as we need to be or should be for the next leg of this journey.
I will say this, Dr. Shepherd, and to also to Andrea, one of the things that I do know that I do and that we've done, and that is invest in women. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that we're learning. I think that we're learning it. I don't think that we've mastered it, but we've got to invest in women. And it's okay to be the shoulder that you cry on. But I'm talking about, instead of, I don't mind you purchasing red bottoms. I got mine the Louis Vuittons and things like that. But we need to take our money and start investing in change. We've got to start investing in women. There are organizations that are there for that are pushing, Black women who want to be in politics, and so they groom them and teach them, and so those are out there. If you know women who are small business owners that are wanting to get started, they may just need $1,000 or $5,000 to get started. I mean, grab some other people together and say, hey, let's invest in this young woman. Let's do this so that we can make sure that these young women that are coming up have a better chance of making it sooner or quicker than what we had, those of us who so-called have become successful. I think that we need to basically put your money where your mouth is. We got to start investing in them.
I love that. I love it. And Doc, I know you ready to go to your next question, but I love that. I love that we could invest in their mental health and wellness with intentionality. Right?
I like it.
With intentionality, you know, and I promise, Doc, this is the last thing I'm going to say about this, because there is, oftentimes we talk about, self-care, blah, 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 and it's starting to be the new sexy thing, right? But there is the express care, and then there's restaurant, right? So express is I run through a drive-through, get myself something quick, right? So whatever that looks like, I don't know. But what you raise is like restaurant. So I sit at the table, my napkin is in my but somebody is coming over on a regular to fill my water. It hasn't even gotten to the bottom yet. So what you are really talking about is this notion around I wrote it down about how we invest in women. And so I said, maybe we invest in, how do we help them stay, recognize some dangers, right? Recognize some dangers, be honest with themselves, and then, assess their mental health. Because then if we do that, right, then they there for the long haul. Then they have learned some things. They don't have to have the bumps and the hiccups that we had. For weeks, I couldn't sleep after Breonna Taylor because I was mad. But I would stay mad because I hadn't talked to anybody. But I like the notion now that's a recipe for success. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sorry, Dr. Shepherd. She started it though.
This is wonderful, and it's organic conversation. And I'm just really amazed because I didn't realize the conversation would take the turn that it has taken in regards to the preparation. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about preparation. You're talking about investment. You're talking about laying a foundation. And so much of that has to do with setting a mindset. It can't be a quick fix. And that's what I'm afraid of, and I'm not here to talk politics, but you need to be careful of those who are just trying to make quick fixes of putting people who look like us in office just to say that they checked off a box. This is not about checking off a box. This is literally, the show is about the state of the mental health of the Black female in the United States of America. And I'm very much concerned about our mental health. There has already been stated that we are in crises. The pandemic has not just been for COVID-19. We are in a mental health crisis. It's been talked about through the Surgeon General for our children, it's for our adults. And now I'm just bringing light and shining light upon for our Black females, our Black males, but Black females in particular today. So I like what you're saying. And so we do wish her well, Ketanji Brown, as she goes through. And I pray that people have worked at preparing her mentally. Because even if you make it to the court, just like, what's his name? The Black man who's on there now. My Lord, he's actually the longest sitting justice right now. I can't think of his name. I see his face.
You're not talking about Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas, Lord. Okay, now see, look at that. People still remember. I was just going into high school. People still remember that particular, I guess not trial, nomination hearing. He made it to the court. Remember that?
Yep.
But people still remember because they raked him through the coast. Now, again, I ain't getting into whether or not she not made it or not. Or whether the woman who made the allegations against him, and please remind me of her name again, Black woman. but my name is escaping me.
I can see it. I can see her face.
If you're listening right now, put in the comment section. I hate to say names and say people. I don't like just calling people the black woman. I want to put a name to her.
Can I jump in right there? I know. Was it Ann something, right?
I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
I'm going to tell you.
Hill or something like that. Anyway,
Anita
Hill.
Thank you. But even in that situation,
yes,
she was sought after by someone to testify against him, a black man. So a black woman was sought after by somebody, used again to bring down a black man.
Wow.
Regardless of the party affiliation, somebody brought her, somebody dug into his past, somebody dug something up so that he couldn't get into position. But they used us again. And that's all I'm saying is there's so many roles we play that have contributed to our status, to contribute to our state of our mental state, that contributes to this as a whole that we're placed in, that we've got to be mindful, we've got to be careful, and we need to be covered, and we need to be protected, and we need to be, we've got to invest, and I don't mean just money invested, but we need to be invested in. By society owes us some stuff, but we also need to be invested in by our allies and by others. We've got to be, I love it. We've got to be intentional about it as well, because we're pulled and we're used and we're, okay.
Yeah.
No, don't you there it is right there. Honestly, there it is.
Yeah. And so, with that said, I pray that someone is preparing her for that.
Yeah.
And you need to do that. So I like what you're saying. Mark has another question, and I'm just going to ask it a different way. It's a lengthy statement that he put out there. But why do women feel that it has to be carried by them? So what do you say by carried? The fact of how they carry the responsibilities at home, the church, the workplace. It is definitely a reality. But why do some individuals feel as if they have to carry it by themselves? Why do some women feel like they have to do those things or carry those responsibilities by themselves? I'll let you all answer that.
And I probably would say well, just reality is that most of the times we are carrying it by ourselves. So the reality has been that we have carried it by ourselves. There are some statistics though that also says that Black women are carrying things that I mentioned. But on a serious note, for those who have support systems like myself, in ministry. My father is a bishop in the Church of God in Christ. My brother is a pastor in the Church of God in Christ. And so when it comes to church, in the church arena, and I'll stay there for this moment, they do a fantastic job in making sure that I'm uplifted, I'm well positioned. I don't carry that bar. I don't carry that way. I'm not excluded out of the pulpit. I'm not, excluded out of meetings and things like that because of my gender. And so it's never ever been a problem for me. But I do know there are more women out there that are not like me, that have a different experience. They don't have someone who is making sure that they're, up front, that they're making sure that their voice is being heard. And so, yes, they are having to carry some things. And so, and then a lot of times we just look at society. We know that it's been strategically designed that the Black man has been taken out of homes. It's been strategically designed that Black families have been broken up and pulled apart. And so it leaves the woman fending for herself and fending for her children and for the well-being of the family. And so that's been strategically designed. I don't know who has been designed by, I'm not going to point any fingers, but that's just reality. You can go back and read that in the history. We know that. And so now it has perpetuated since, over time, that this is the way life is. And so some people have accepted it. I'm not one who has. I'm very concerned when I hear women who say, I don't need a man. That concerns me. And I'm not even dealing with sexual orientation. I'm dealing with the fact that there are males in society and you need a man. There's like you need women, you need men. So it takes all of us to make this thing work. And so I just want to make sure that we're not putting the pressure, continuously putting the pressure on women and asking them to carry it, because we've asked them to carry it. My last statement is, if you go into these southern states, Mississippi was really one. It was really strong. I think South Carolina was another one where the Black woman showed up at the polls and carried the vote. We voted in men. It wasn't women that we put in. We put men in, and it's okay. I'm not knocking it, but we were asked to come to the polls and vote people in, and it was, you look at the numbers and you go back and it's the African American women that did that. And so that's what I'm saying. There's it's proof in the pudding.
And I don't think I have anything to add to that. I mean, I think, again, I think you're absolutely right about the strategy around it. I think you're absolutely right. We've assumed the position because we've had to. And that's all. That's it. I think we've got to figure out how to reverse that, right? Because there's something to be said about order. That's all I'm going to say. And there is order for a man, right? There is order for him. And so I cringe when I hear people say, you don't need a man, he don't need no daddy. You a lie. He does.
Yes, he does.
And it's less about, you said it best about, I'm not talking about, the sexual part. I am talking about order. There's a thing called order. So that's my piece. And I know that, and I get quite a bit of pushback on that. And I don't care, but there's something about order. That's all.
Yeah. And actually it's been proven now. And so people just don't like to admit it, which is why you see the watering down, especially in the Black community. There's a lot of watering down where people don't want to admit that we need each other. If we're not careful, we'll just continue to be a society that is all about me, very individualistic. We were not created like that.
No.
We were created to be as a collective whole. You don't even have to get into, all you have to do is to study science, all right, to really look at that. And I don't want to digress too much there. To know that we are created to be in families. Let me put a pin right there. We're winding down. This has been awesome discussion. We're in the last 2 minutes. I want you to provide some words of encouragement to the Black woman who's been struggling mentally, physically. They're physically and mentally exhausted because of the economic, social, and the emotional strains of this pandemic. We need to speak to them, speak to her, speak to that grandmother, speak to the mother, speak to the niece, speak to the daughter. All age ranges need to be spoken to right now. So I'm going to start with you, Andrea. Provide some encouragement, and then we'll go straight to you, Misha.
Absolutely. So, dear Black woman, this really is your moment. Even if it doesn't feel like you were created for such a time as this. You are not alone. There's help available to you, and there is a circle ready to embrace you. So don't look to the left or to the right. Find real help that's available to you, and know that, again, you were not created to do this alone. There is help available.
Powerful.
And I speak to the Black woman that is there. When you look at yourself in the mirror, know that you are looking at the finest. You are looking at beauty at its best. And I'm not talking about only the outward, but the inward person more than anything else. You have been created to produce. You've been created to nurture. You've been created to make things happen, to make greatness, to birth out greatness. And so when you realize that, when you really accept that in your heart and in your mind, you will begin to see how life will look different for you. So I encourage you to take those moments every single day to look at yourself in the mirror and to affirm yourself that you are fearfully, you are wonderfully made. You are made in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. And just know this, that when He made you, He made the very best. And you've got to accept that in your heart and your mind, because out of your heart flows the issues of life.
Wow. Well, with that said, everyone who's on here right now live, you should feel encouraged, and you need to go and share that message with another Black female. This show, you need to go take with you, go to our various pages, and literally play this over. I am thankful for the people who are going to watch this again. This show has been tremendous, tremendous insight on how to be able to navigate through the different trials, if you would, the different courses that we are taking and going through right now. Thank you, Mark. You just co-signed me. Powerful. It really was a powerful session. This is going to help someone. I know it is. And for those who are already saying, well, I got this is going to help fuel you, because I want to go back to what we said at the very beginning. And that really has stuck with me. The expansion of our territory. And as you expand your territory, these encouraging statements you're going to have to go back and listen to again, because as you gather more, you're going to have to be able to gain more of insight and gain more strength within. And your mental health, let me tell you, has got to be tip top shape. I don't care too much about what your physical body looks like. I mean, all right. I won't say too much there, but your mind got to be together. All right, you can look good on the outside, but if your mind is tore up or jacked up, as I've been saying lately, then it's not going to be any good. And so we want to make sure your mental health is well. We wish Ketanji Brown well as she goes forward with the nomination, and even for all those Black women who are going up for office. This is a election year. We wish you well, Misha, in all of your endeavors. You make us so proud with the various things and businesses that you are operating, and just to see where you have become, where you've come from. I was to say with one person, as you talked about, and now to having a staff that's working with you in various cities. That is awesome to hear. Thank you, Andrea, for the work that you have continued to do and the light that you continue to shine in our communities, for your sacrifice and your selflessness. And so it is definitely seen and appreciated. And so thank you all for watching. Hope Health Systems, sponsor of this particular broadcast. If you are in need of mental health services, if you know you're that Black woman out there, come on over. We have some people who look like you in most of our departments. And yeah, we'll do you some good. And come on over. We'll take some of that weight off of you. All right, if you allow us to. And when you do so, you'll find yourself much better and ready to expand your territory. All right, this is Ask the Doctors. I look forward to our next installment. We're preparing for the month of March, and I have some great things in store for you. I'm signing off now. Our guests are going to remain with me. Please take care. Please be safe. I know mask mandates are dropping, and so that's a wonderful thing. I'll go on public and say this. I have not said this out loud yet. This is my first time saying it. I do believe we're at the turning point. I have never said that before. It's been 2 years. I've been, if anybody's been following me for 2 years, I've been on top of it. This feels different. I really do believe we are at the turning point, and I pray to God that it is. What does that mean, Dr. Shepherd? I think we are learning how to manage this, and that we will start to be able to expand our territory even more. So just wanted to go on record for saying that, just in case someone says, he said it, but he didn't put it on record. This is on record today. That I do believe that we are in the turning point for the better in this COVID-19 pandemic. Please take care. Please be safe. I'll see you next time